A couple went to a credit counselor with a bag stuffed full with papers, and the wife was shocked to learn that these papers were actually bills. Her husband had racked up $80,000 in a debt she didn't know about. This story, told by Taylor and Megan Cover on themoneycouple.com, is an example of credit card debt getting way out of hand. But what does this crazy story about credit card debt have to do with college tuition? Well, as you may know, student loan debt has officially exceeded that of credit card debt, which means that stories like the one I just told you about could be happening to multiple young adults still fresh out of college. My name is Claire Nash. I'm a senior at Sacred Heart Catholic School, and I'm here today to inform you about colleges and their tuitions. I've done thorough research over this topic, including citing multiple sources from the NCTC database, and this topic is important to me because I'm about to be going into college myself, and one of the biggest things I'm concerned about is how much it will cost. We will begin today by talking about some of the reasons why colleges are increasing their tuition. Then, we'll talk about some of the effects that COVID-19 has had on colleges and their tuitions, and finally, we'll discuss some possible solutions for increasing tuition. Let's start with why have colleges been increasing their tuition? Surely we've all heard of or experienced increasing tuition. This graph, provided by Stephen Himlet and Dave McCardle, shows an example of increasing tuition from 1990 to 2005. As you can see, college tuition has been increasing for quite some time, especially in more recent years. Why is this? Well, most people are inclined to believe that this is because of an increase in college spending. Robert Martin states that most people believe that an increase in spending is directly related to an increase in tuition, but this isn't always true. Sometimes an increase in spending could come from a decline in a third-party support. If a college is reliant on a third party for part of their income and that third party suddenly leaves, then they suddenly don't have as much money as they were used to. So it's natural for them to want to increase their tuitions in order to get back that money. Another reason as to why colleges may be increasing their tuition is because one of the best ways that students determine between good and not so good colleges is by how much they cost. Julie Morgan states that high price is one of the main ways a college can signal to potential students that it offers a high quality education. So students believe that if a college costs a lot, then they'll get a good enough job to pay it all back later. But this isn't always true. Mara Sumali states that one college cost $51,665 per year to go to, and it didn't even produce alumni with good incomes. This is an example of colleges increasing their tuition in order to try and get more students. Now that we've discussed some of the possible reasons for increasing tuition, let's talk about some of the effects that COVID-19 has had on colleges. As you all know, COVID plays a big role on schools and had a huge impact on them. Andrew Kelly and Rooney Columbus stated that COVID hinders colleges' ability to offer services while also ensuring the safety of others. This then threatens the health of the college and promotes colleges to reduce their staff, cut salaries, and even close academic programs. This is one example of an effect COVID has had on colleges. Another example is the push for reduced tuition. As college classes have moved online, students have been arguing that tuition should be lowered because they believe that online learning isn't as expensive as in-person learning. Colleges were at a risk of losing multiple students, and instead they argued that online learning is actually more expensive than in-person learning, and in order to appease everyone, offered tuition discounts. Lila Burke stated that colleges avoided an official tuition decrease and instead offered double the amount of scholarships in order to satisfy everyone's needs. Now we will go on to discuss some possible solutions for increasing tuition. The first solution I'd like to discuss with you is the case for income share agreements. Income share agreements is basically when the older generation pays for the education of the younger generation. So you would get to go to college for free because someone who had already graduated was helping pay. Then, when you graduated, you would offer a part of your income to the school for a fixed amount of time in order to help pay for those younger students. Jack Salmon believes this is a good solution because the college will stay funded and it is also more likely to produce successful students since the students' success is directly related to the amount of income the college will receive. Another way we can help reduce tuition is by providing a good means to determine which colleges are good and which colleges are not so good. Like I stated earlier in my speech, there isn't a really good way for students to determine which colleges are good or bad. And so I believe that there should be a website that lists all the colleges in the United States, their tuition, their average cost after aid, and then the average income of the alumni that have already graduated there. That way students can easily determine which colleges are good for their situation, and colleges won't need to increase their tuition in order to attract more students. Today, we've discussed some reasons behind increasing tuition, including a decline in third-party support or as a way to promote enrollments. We've discussed the effect COVID-19 has had on colleges, including the cuts they've had to make and the tuition problems they've had. And finally, we talked about some possible solutions for increasing tuition, including income share agreements and just finding a better way to decipher between good and not so good schools. Thankfully, not all of us are going to have to deal with a crazy spouse that racks up $80,000 in debt without us knowing, but it's important to know about college tuition. Now you can go out and find some solutions of your own, or you can use this information I've told you about just to stay out of crazy amounts of debt yourself. And who knows, maybe one day we won't even have to worry about college tuition. But for now, the best we can do is prepare for the future and see where it takes us.